We will go ahead and get started because the 6 o'clock hour is upon us. And so good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday evening Parent Academy webinar session. Thank you for joining. And again, we are excited to have you as audience listeners and participants. I am Tina Folston-Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for the Educational Equity and Outreach for Alachua County Public Schools. And I welcome you this evening. Tonight, we will receive some helpful information from our guest speaker, Elena Reddick. Miss Elena Reddick will share some helpful information in regards to preparing for college and career readiness for our Alachua County Public School students. Just before we get started, let's review a few housekeeping elements. Please keep your microphones on mute through the duration of the presentation. We will be monitoring your questions and will respond accordingly. Please use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of the webinar window. And please note that all Parent Academy webinars are closed captioned, recorded, and posted to our website for access at a later date or for re-review for any individuals that could not tune in live tonight. Your questions will be answered at the conclusion of each session. If there are any specific needs that you may have with a personal conversation, the Parent Academy email address is parentacademy@gm.sbac.edu, and we will get to those questions and respond accordingly with any additional information from our Alachua County Public Schools or community members. Now, without further ado, I would like to present our guest speaker for this evening, Miss Elena Reddick. She is with she's a student services coordinator for the Education Foundation of Alachua County.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hello,
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good night so far. I'm going to go ahead and share the PowerPoint that I'll be working through. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Can you see it all good?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right. So as Tina already kind of said, my name is Elena Reddick, and I'm here from the Education Foundation of Alachua County. I serve as their student services coordinator. I've been in this role we're getting close to a year now, and I'm feeling good. And tonight I'm here to talk to you guys about college and career readiness. And specifically, I'm going to be going over financial aid packages, college and technical degrees, and also scholarships. So I wanted to start off by telling you guys a little bit about the Education Foundation of Alachua County and what we do. So we have 3 different programs. We have our Catalyst for Change program, which helps to support teachers through providing them with grant money to fund exciting and new projects in their classroom. We just finished up rewarding those grants, and it's a really exciting thing to see when teachers are pioneering and putting on to try and really help our Alachua County Public School students. We also have our Senior Scholarships program, which I'll be talking about later tonight. The portal for that opened up today, and it is a great opportunity for your seniors, if you have a senior, to get some money to help pay for their education. And then our final program is Take Stock in Children. This is a mentoring and scholarship program that focuses on at-risk, low-income youth. This is the program that I specifically work on, and I do student services. I help to recruit new students, and I'm always looking to teach new kids about how they can be successful and how they can transition to college. So I wanted to start off by talking a little about the different post-secondary credentials that you can earn. This is going to include your standard college diploma, which is going to be a 4-year degree. So usually that's going to be your Bachelor of the Arts or your Bachelor of Science. I'll be covering what institutions you can earn these degrees and different certificates from later on in the presentation. We also have a 2-year degree, which is going to be your Associates of the Arts or the Associates of Science. These degrees can be standalone, or you can use them to bridge into your 4-year college diploma. There are also certificates, which amount to about a third of a college diploma. These certificates can be in a really specific, a very specific study area, and they can also be used by college students to enrich their education and to touch in a new area of study. There's also licensure. So this is you thinking kind of about the student who wants to do hair. Maybe they want to go to cosmetology school and earn their license. That's one of the most common ones that I hear about from my students. But it is different from an apprenticeship, which is going to be, think HVAC technicians and stuff of that sort, where they have to earn some sort of certificate, but they also do have to complete an apprenticeship. Usually it's a very good option for the student who's a little bit more tactile, likes to use their hands, and doesn't think that they can complete a 4-year degree. And I will say you can make a lot of money doing those things. So if you know a kid like that, that's the one for them. There's also some military programs that will help you get into the military smoothly and can help place you in a more specific area of study. I won't really be touching on those too much because there's a lot of people that you can contact if your student is interested in the military, but it is a good option as well for those students who are kind of wanting to do something different. So the first institution that you can go to if you're looking for something kind of brief is going to be a technical college. So technical colleges are usually 1 to 2 year programs, and at these colleges you can get your diplomas, but these aren't going to be a full 4-year diploma. They're going to be more like a certificate or an associate's degree. Associate's degrees, again, are 2-year degrees, and they can be used to transition forward or be used on their own. Usually what you're going to be learning at a technical college is something very specific. 2 of the examples here are construction electrician and IT management. One that I also know is common amongst our students is to learn about graphic design. You can go to a technical college, you can learn about that, and you can be very successful in working for a large company, but not have to spend 4 years in a traditional college. Some examples of technical colleges in Florida are the Florida Technical College and also Southern Technical College. There's also going to be state and community colleges. State and community colleges are going to be different because they're only going to provide you with, you know, your AA and your AS and they have some technical programs. They're usually more academic based, but for example, at Santa Fe College, they have some really great biotechnology programs. I believe they have a welding program, if I'm not mistaken, and technical programs like that, but there also is a large academic focus. So these schools are really aimed at you starting your bachelor's degree and making the transition. For Santa Fe College, there's a lot of opportunities to transition to UF, FSU, University of North Florida after completing a certain track of study. So one of the most common ones is the engineering program. I forget what it's called, but it's like One Up or something like that. They have a catchy name for it, but it's where you start your engineering degree at Santa Fe, and it's a direct pipeline into UF. It's great for students who want a slow start because Santa Fe is really affordable. And there's a lot of different scholarship opportunities at Santa Fe. If you are looking into a college like that, you have a lot of options when it comes to funding that I'll talk about later. In this presentation, I featured 2 of the different programs that Santa Fe College has to help fund students, but they also have a lot of different scholarship opportunities through the government that I'll also talk about. So some examples of these state and community colleges are going to be Santa Fe College, Valencia College, which is located in Orlando and has a lot of opportunities to transition into UCF, and Palm Beach State College. Finally, there's universities. So I think universities are the first thing that comes to people's heads when you're thinking about college and getting a degree. You think of UF and FSU. I put Bethune-Cookman and also the University of North Florida. These are going to be where you get your graduate and undergraduate programs in those degrees. So you can get your bachelor's degree, you can get your master's, and you can even go into a more advanced degree. That might include a PhD or your doctorate, or it can be a professional degree such as an MD or a JD, which is the certificate that you need to become a lawyer. But you can pursue those different tracks without having to leave the institution. So you wouldn't have to transfer to go and get those things. Usually you can stay within the university that you started your bachelor's in. If you do start at a community college, you will eventually have to transfer to a university in order to get one of these higher level degrees. So if you're looking to go to college, you're probably looking for a way to pay for it. Usually going out of pocket isn't the most efficient way. And honestly, if there's free money out there, you got to get it, because if you could have that money in your pocket, why wouldn't you want that? And there's so many different ways to pay for college. So financial aid is money provided to students and their families to help pay for college and university educational expenses. So these expenses can include your traditional tuition and fees. It can include books and stipends, supplies, room and board if your student is choosing to live away from home, and essentially cost of living. It is intended to support the student, and it is usually it's usually determined how much financial aid that you can earn by looking at the cost of attendance for a university or college. So this is what a standard cost of attendance will look like for a school. The examples that I used are the University of Florida, and then I think on the next slide I have Santa Fe College. So here you can see that your tuition is going to be about $6,000. This is going to run for a year-long period. So it's going to include both summer or both fall and spring, but it's not going to include summer. So books are about $810. Technology is going to be a lot of fees that are on your tuition that you'll learn. Housing is about $6,000 a year. You're looking at food. A lot of kids, they don't think about the price of food and the cost of living. It's one of those things that kind of slips. They're only thinking about meeting those tuition, but ultimately you have to be financially independent and live on your own, especially if they're not receiving any parental support. So that's why this takes into account clothing, personal needs, and also transportation. Now you can see on the right-hand side, if you're living with your parents, you're cutting down a significant amount of that cost between housing and food. Housing is typically the most expensive part, because you have to live in the college towns, and college towns are not that affordable in most cases, especially for students who want to go to UCF in Orlando or FIU in Miami. These schools are located in these big cities that don't usually have a lot of housing that's aimed at students. The next example is going to be Santa Fe College, which you can see is far more affordable. The tuition at Santa Fe College is extremely affordable. It's one of those things where I believe each credit hour is it's a little bit under $100 if I'm not incorrect. So looking at that cost, you're going to be paying a very minimal amount per semester. It gives you the ability to pay it out of pocket if necessary. You can also see that if you choose to live for room and board, it is going to be a little bit higher. Personal expenses, again, thinking about those things, it's something important to talk through with your student about how they're going to pay for their personal expenses and transportation. But again, you can see that the cost is significantly cheaper if you are living with a parent, because usually that largest cost is room and board. These also both take into account full-time enrollment. Full-time enrollment in college is considered 12 credit hours or more, and that's typically about 4 classes. So here's the cost of attendance comparison amongst a couple different colleges. So the reason that I included the ones that are shown here is the University of Florida is going to be a public university. Bethune-Cookman, it's one that a lot of our students want to go to, but it is private, and private universities are a lot more expensive than public universities. We also have FAMU on here, Florida State University. We have Santa Fe College, again, which is going to be that state college. And we also have the University of Georgia on here because some of your students have really big dreams and they want to go out of state. And it's a really exciting thing to want to move on and have a new atmosphere. However, it does come at a cost. Usually out-of-state schools will be more open to providing your student with financial aid if they're high achieving, because they have to bring in a certain out-of-state group of students. But if your student does not get that financial aid, it's going to be a lot more difficult to make that number. So taking into account where your student wants to go and whether it's private or out of state is really important. So when you're looking at earning financial aid, one of the things you're going to be thinking about is, where can I get the financial aid from? And when I get offered something, what is it really? So when a college is looking at you, they're going to look at your financial need. That is going to be determined from the FAFSA, which I will talk a little bit about later, but that FAFSA is going to be at the core of everything when it comes to financial aid. You need to fill it out for essentially any financial aid you'll receive, because when you apply to a school, you're going to send them your FAFSA. And even if you didn't receive any money from the government, that school is going to take into account your FAFSA to determine your financial need, and that will make you eligible for their scholarships. So every university and every college has a very large alumni base, and usually a lot of people who want to contribute to the success of the new group of students. But if they don't know your financial need and they don't know where you're sitting, they can't offer you money. And one of the biggest things that FAFSA does is it determines the expected family contribution. For different families, that will look different. For families that earn more money, the expected family contribution is going to be higher. And this isn't saying that the parents must pay this amount. It's just the amount that the government uses to say, here's the amount of money that's available, and this is what we expect them to pay. Usually, I can't lie to you, it's not a fair amount and it's not a fair representation, but it is the way that they conduct distributing financial aid at this point. They will be freshening up the FAFSA. I think it's in 2 years, it'll go active, and they will be slightly changing that expected family contribution factor. But from what I've seen, it's not going to be completely changing or going away. Another one of the criteria that they will use to distribute financial aid is merit and skill. So this is looking at your GPA, your test scores, athletics, school band, were you in clubs? What can you bring to the table that makes us want you at our school? That's what they're trying to do with financial aid. They're trying to lure you in. If you're a good student, they think that you'll be a good fit for their campus and you'll contribute, they want to give you money. They want you to say, okay, this is my favorite school, and I can go for free. I'm going there. They will also look at enrollment. So this has specific enrollment requirements that might look like students in the engineering program. It might be that you're first generation. Those things can matter, and so can residency. So some of these different programs, I'll talk about one specifically, require you to be in the state of Florida. Or maybe if you were in a different state, it would require you to be from a different state, but some of them do require certain residency or citizenship. So these 4 different ones. So you start off and you have grants. So grants are going to be, I like to call them free money because that's basically what they are, but they're money that is put into your pocket, and it usually comes from financial need. One of the most popular grants is going to be the Pell Grant. Just putting it out there, about $300 million a year in Pell Grant money goes untouched because people do not fill out the FAFSA. So if you have not done that yet, please, please, please do it. That money might be out there for you. Currently, the Pell Grant, I think the max that you can get is $6,700, and it will be rising in the next couple of years to a little bit over $7,000. And that money, if you're going to Santa Fe College, that will completely cover your cost of attendance. So if you are eligible for the Pell Grant, please, please, please apply for it, because that money is there for you. There are also scholarships. So scholarships are really going to be looking at that merit or skill base. So they're going to be looking to see for the students that are high achieving or the students that are really involved, and they may have a financial need element, but also they do not need to get paid back. The only exception would be, for example, the scholarship Bright Futures, which is extremely common, and I'll be talking about it in a moment. If you use your Bright Futures money to pay for your courses, and then for any reason your student has to withdraw or they fail that course, they will owe that money back to the state of Florida. That is because that scholarship has a contingency in it. Some scholarships will have similar contingencies. They may require you to say complete 70% of your course load, and if you do not, that scholarship money might be revoked. I know that's how a couple of different scholarships work at Santa Fe College, but a lot of them will have little points like that. There's also work study, which I really recommend that when you're filling out the FAFSA that you opt in for a work study. When you opt in for a work study on a FAFSA, that is not saying that you're going to get it. That's not saying that you have to do it, nothing like that. all it will do is it'll make you eligible for work study. When I was in college, I would be walking around campus and there'd be a bunch of places that would say there's jobs available, but you had to be qualified for work study. So it basically just makes you eligible for these positions that are on campus. The glory of work study is that work study jobs are required to work around your school courses. So you'll never get scheduled during your courses and they must work around them. They also usually function within good hours because usually it's when the school's open. So you won't have to work late or anything like that. And the last really big appeal is that the money that you earn through work study will not count against you on next year's FAFSA. So it will not contribute to the financial requirements because that money was technically need-based. You can use it to pay for your scholarships, but also you can just get your money into your pocket in a check like a normal job. So it's a really great option also for students who don't want to have a car. You won't have to leave campus to do work. So it can be really beneficial. And finally, there are student loans, which if you can avoid them, I highly recommend avoiding them. Some students don't have that opportunity and that privilege, but I really insist that you avoid them. There are two kinds. There are unsubsidized and subsidized. We in our office say that unsubsidized loans are unhappy. So if that helps you, there are so many options out there that I'll be talking about tonight. So I really hope that you'll try and explore those options before taking loans. But if you must, and the opportunity is there and you can see the need and the benefit of going to a certain institution, it may be a good option for you. So you've applied to a school and you receive your financial aid offer. So financial aid offers will come once you receive acceptance into a school and once they have received your FAFSA. So it'll be the total financial aid that's offered to you from an institution, and it'll really look something like this on the right-hand side of the screen. So what you're seeing here is that the cost of attendance to the school is going to be $21,000 and $21,430. And the family is expected to contribute $0. This means that probably the income of the family was pretty low. They may also have multiple students in college. There's a lot of factors that go into determining that number, but this family's expected contribution is $0. This Florida student is also residing in a Florida school and is a Bright Futures academic scholar, which is the highest level of Bright Futures. That means that technically 100% of their tuition will be covered, which is equivalent to about $212 per credit hour. So here, because of that expected family contribution, you can see that they're receiving the full Pell Grant. They are getting a Florida Student Assistance Grant. They are also getting that money for the Bright Futures academic scholar. Now, this one has the Bright Futures stipend on it. They no longer offer the stipend. Previously, students that were academic scholar level, they used to receive $300 a semester as a stipend. They no longer do that, which is unfortunate, but it happened. And then they're also receiving a scholarship directly from their college for about $2,000. They also did offer some different loan options here for a total of $21,430. So that total aid offer will always equal the amount of the cost of attendance, but a large portion of it will usually be made up of loans. Now, when you're looking at the cost of attendance, you have to remember that that includes room and board, that includes food, so on and so forth. So if you as a parent and your student can make those changes and say you can find a way to pay for housing, or your student does get a job and they can cover that cost of food and living expenses, then you likely will not have to take those loans if you can find a way to pay for those outside costs. But if necessary, you can take that money. One of the perks of this specific financial aid offer that we have here is a lot of this is grants. So say that the cost of attendance or the cost of tuition was under what is offered here, this money will likely get refunded and the student will have that in their checking account. So they can use that for food, living expenses, so on and so forth. That money will become theirs. And this usually comes, as I said, after they receive your FAFSA and also after your offered attendance or your offered acceptance into the university or college. Okay, so the FAFSA, the bane of every high schooler's existence and parent, if I'm being honest, is this document. So this is the free application for federal student aid. It's required for federal aid programs as well as many other financial aid programs. A lot of universities will require this. Bright Futures requires this, and a lot of programs do. Like there's no way around it. It opens up October 1st for every academic year, and the school codes. So when you're filling it out, it's going to ask you what schools you want to send your FAFSA to. So while you're filling out the FAFSA for the first time, you can send your FAFSA to 10 schools. You don't have to apply to all 10. That doesn't have to be all your schools. But if you know where you're applying when you're filling this out in October, which is before the deadline for most college applications, put them in there. Like if you know you're applying to UF, you want to apply to UCF, you want to apply to Santa Fe, put them in there, because it's not going to hurt if you don't apply, but it will mean that they get it quickly and more efficiently, which means that you'll get your financial aid offer quicker. So definitely something that you have to conquer. We really say that you should finish this as quickly as possible, because a lot of aid, such as the Pell Grant, there's also some money for first generation students, for Hispanic students. A lot of that money is first come, first serve. So if you get on the ball, you finish it quickly, you have an opportunity at that money. If you don't, that money might be gone by the time you fill it out. There's a lot of different programs to help try and fill out the FAFSA with you. One that I do, usually most of them are in October, is called Cash for College, which is through the Gainesville Chamber. So if you're interested in something like that and your student is going to be a senior next year, look it up and come out and see us. We go to different schools in Alachua County, and we'll sit down with you and we will walk through the FAFSA with you. We will hold your hand, and we bring a lot of people to help you that specialize in this. This is what they do for their job. So if you need that help and you want it, we will definitely help you, because we want to see you be successful. But you do have to renew your FAFSA every academic year. So we tell students every year, like, put it in your phone for the next 4 years that on October 1st, you're filling out the FAFSA, because if you don't, the money won't renew. So say you earn your Pell Grant your first year, you're not done there. You got to fill it out next year, or else you will not get that money again, which can be really unfortunate. So another financial aid application is the FFAA. So this is the Florida Financial Aid Application, which is required for Bright Futures. Again, there's some other smaller scholarships, but I know that a couple different high schools in Alachua County do have their seniors fill this out. I know that Eastside specifically goes through this with their seniors, but this is a lot easier than the FAFSA. Like, the FFAA is definitely not as daunting. It's not as scary. And it really is quick. You only have to complete it once. You don't have to go back every year and do it again and again. So if you're interested in Bright Futures and your student knows that they're eligible, definitely hop on this one. So Bright Futures, it's one of those things you're always hearing about. I think the word gets thrown around a lot. It is a scholarship program funded by the state of Florida. And it is pretty academically rigorous. So the highest level is the FAS. So that one is going to be your Florida Academic Scholars. It's going to require you to take these certain high school credits. The biggest one that kind of gets students, I think, is the world language one. You have to take 2 years of a world language sequentially. So like 9th and 10th year, 10th, 11th, so on and so forth. You have to take it. So that one is the only one that mainly gets people. But you have to have that 3.5 GPA, and you also have to have pretty great test scores. So you're looking at a 29 on the ACT and a 1330 on the SAT and 100 service hours. For the Florida Medallion Scholars, which covers about 75% of tuition, you have to have a 3.0, 25 ACT, 1210 SAT, and 75 service hours. Now, one thing that has been changed, which is really great for students who have a job, is now you can use your work hours to qualify for the service hour requirement. The only contingency to that one is you need 100 work hours to qualify for either. So even if you're at you qualify for the Florida Medallion Scholarship, the 75%, you still have to have 100 work hours rather than the 75 service hours. So that's an option for your student if they have a job. Definitely use that as a way to get around that requirement. There's also the Gold Seal Vocational Scholars. This one, if you think that you might qualify for it, I recommend looking into it. If you search up Bright Futures Scholarship, their website will pop up, and their chapter 1 will have a bunch of information about the different qualifications. This one is mainly going to be for students enrolled in career and technical education programs. So you're looking at like the Health Professions Academy at GHS and stuff of that sort. So if you think you might be qualified for this one, I would look into it more deeply and maybe speak to your guidance counselor, because they'll be able to tell you specifically what you need and if you're there already. So this is a fun scholarship that we always like to talk to our Take Stock students about. So this is the Southern Scholarship Foundation, and they are not going to provide you with help towards tuition. They are going to help you with housing and food and like your cost of living. So Southern Scholarship, basically, they have these different houses at some major universities. They have Flagler College, Florida A&M, Florida Gulf Coast, Florida State University, Santa Fe College, Tallahassee Community College, and the University of Florida. And near these universities and colleges, they have these houses where multiple college students will live in sort of a communal living situation. All groceries are paid for. All of the housing is paid for. And it's a really great opportunity for students to show leadership, because your student can become a house manager, or I think they're called like leads or something, where they basically help to manage the household. One student cooks for the entire house every single day, and they switch off. And it's a really great opportunity to have this community, especially if you're scared of your student going away for school to, say, Florida Gulf Coast. You're nervous about it. No one else is going there. You're also worried about affording housing. They have a really great program, and they have some really great people on their team. If this is something that you're interested in, if you're interested in anything in this PowerPoint, you can feel free to contact me. I have a really great contact with Southern Scholarship, and she can walk you through the process. They also have some great promotional videos that show you the houses your student will be living in. They do tours of the houses, and it's a great opportunity for students to get that college experience, but also still feel a sense of community. Another really cool thing that they offer is you can continue living in the house through the summer semester. So it's actually kind of rare that you can stay in student housing during the summer, but Southern Scholarship allows you to stay in student housing during the summer as long as you're enrolled in school or you have a job. They'll allow you to do either, and they'll allow you to keep living in the house. So definitely a really cool program to look into. Another scholarship opportunity is going to be Santa Fe College's Foundation Scholarship. So this one has a priority deadline for high school seniors, and it's February 15th. So if your student applies to that, please have them fill this out if they're interested in going to Santa Fe College. It's really quick to do. It's just a simple essay. They have to be an Alachua or Bradford County resident. They have to be enrolled in Santa Fe College, have a high school diploma or GED, have a 2.0 GPA from high school or post-secondary. So if they did go to college, and they must plan to enroll as that full-time student. So again, those 12 credit hours. It's a really simple application. And there's so many scholarships. If you go to that link, you will just scroll and scroll and scroll, and you'll see all the money that's out there for your student. Really a lot of great opportunities. Santa Fe, it's affordable, and they have so much opportunities for money. One of my favorite is Santa Fe Achieve. So if you have a student enrolled in Alachua County High School, which a lot of you should, this is a great opportunity. Community colleges are there to support students in the community, no matter if they go to that community college or otherwise. So Santa Fe Achieve has a Santa Fe Achieve specialist in almost every high school. So they have one at Eastside, they have one at Buchholz, they have one at GHS, they have them everywhere, Santa Fe, Hawthorne. And those specialists are there to help your student fill out college applications, try and get recommendation letters. Like, they are there for our students, and they can get students signed up for SF Achieve, which will provide them with a book stipend and a $400 a year. And it'll also cover the remaining costs of attendance. So say your student gets financial aid, but it's like not quite covering everything, and they want to apply to Santa Fe College. As long as they have the financial need they're looking for, Santa Fe Achieve will cover the difference. So if that is a situation that you find yourself in and your student does want to go to Santa Fe College, it's really an amazing program. So they will keep their scholarship when they go, as long as they keep their GPA above a 2.0, they don't enroll in less than 6 credit hours. And they also do have to complete a certain number of courses. So if they are unsuccessful in more than 1/3 of all attempts at Santa Fe, they will lose the scholarship, but they really have a lot of resources such as mentoring and coaching on career exploration, time management, and financial aid to help your student be successful in college. So if you have a first-time college student, this is a really great program. First-time college students, they struggle with a lot of very unique issues like time management, expectations, adjusting to the college environment because they may not have been exposed to it when they were younger. But programs like this, they exist in a lot of different colleges and they can be a great opportunity. Another thing that I like to mention for first-time college students is bridge programs. So one of the most common ones would be FSU Care. I personally know a lot of students that went through that program and they found their home and they felt a sense of community and they felt more comfortable in their college environment. And then the final scholarship opportunity that I really want to talk about is our Education Foundation Senior Scholarships. So this application opened today, so it's fresh off the press and it will close on February 20th. The thing that I like to talk about with this scholarship is there really is something for everyone. You'll start by answering something that we call the qualifier questions. These qualifier questions will ask where you go to school. They'll ask, are you involved in any sports? And they're going to cover a wide range of different topics to try and figure out which one of our 70 scholarships or more than one of our 70 scholarships your students are applicable for. After doing that, you're going to upload your resume, submit your letter of recommendation, and answer the 2 short essay questions. They're the essay questions that you hear a million times when applying to colleges, applying for scholarships. So they both are describe your plans for college education and your future career goals, which hopefully you got a good idea where you're going, even if it changes in the future. And also describe a special attribute, accomplishment, or experience that you believe sets you apart. So these 2 questions are going to help us, know your student. And combined with those qualifier questions, they can find a very specific scholarship that applies to them. So these scholarships, some fun ones that we have one at Buchholz that's for a Buchholz track student. We have some that are for Gainesville High School that are specifically for a thespian or someone involved in theater. We have one at Eastside High School that supports students who want to go to an HBCU or a historically Black college or university. Really a lot of great options. And we even have some that are more general. Most of them will range from about like $1,000 to $2,500. Some will be $5,000 and some will disperse over the 4 years that your student is in college. So it can be a really great opportunity. We also want to make sure that your student is receiving the money. So if your student is going to a school where they already have enough aid to cover their cost of attendance, we will actually send the check directly to your student so that they can utilize that money. We want them to have it. We want them to benefit from it because we have a bunch of amazing donors who specifically put these scholarships together to benefit Alachua County students. And that's where we want the money to go. So it's a great opportunity. You can apply at that link below, and it's also on our website, which is www.edfoundationac.org. So if you're interested, please check it out. It's a really great opportunity to earn some extra money to cover that cost. And then the final thing that I wanted to just go through real quick are some additional scholarship opportunities. So if you're still kind of like, I want some extra money, maybe we don't qualify for some of these, here's some tips and tricks. So I'm going to recommend that you research early. A lot of scholarship deadlines are going to be in this early spring period. They're going to be between January and maybe March, because this is when your students are going to be finding out where they're going to college. And it's going to be when schools are looking to give out that money. So check often, check for legitimacy, and beware of scams. If something asks you to pay to apply for a scholarship, it's probably not real. You do pay to apply to college, but usually applying for scholarships is not going to be a good sign. There's also some other tips right there, but there's a lot of different scholarship websites that you can use. These are search engines where you can type in different qualifiers or different criteria that your student may meet, and you can learn about a bunch of different opportunities. So some of these are fastweb.com, scholarships.com, collegescholarships.org, the U.S. Department of Labor's Career One Stop, Going Merry. This is one that our school board really supports, and it's a great option. And then I put in the Buchholz High School page because Buchholz has done an extremely good job of putting together a scholarship page that has a bunch of local scholarships for our students. It is a great page. If you go to the Buchholz website, it's under their college planning, I think is what it is. But really some great opportunities, and they have them all hyperlinked. They have all the deadlines, and they have the amount the scholarship is worth. So if you're looking for something very cut and dry, I highly recommend going there. And then now, if you need my contact information, it is up here. That is my email. I answer very quickly over email. So if you have a question or anything like that, please feel free to shoot me an email. And then I think Tina is going to help me now work through some questions.
All right. Thank you, Elena. That was awesome. Very informative. So let's see. We have some questions. I can see 2 so far. Can you remind the name of the grant? So maybe that's the Pell Grant?
I think so. So yes, Maria, that's going to be the Pell Grant. The one thing about the Pell Grant, though, is you don't have to specifically apply for the Pell Grant. When you fill out the FAFSA, you'll automatically qualify for that if you are eligible.
Okay. And then how does Bright Futures get students ACT and SAT test scores? Do they look at the super scores?
So when your student is qualifying for Bright Futures, there's going to be a couple different things that are actually submitted by the school guidance counselor. So that's going to be their community service hours and also their SAT scores. So they do super score, to the best of my knowledge, but they will submit that. So you don't have to worry about submitting it on your student's behalf. Once you fill out that FFAA, that is the farthest you have to go. And then the next
Did
one.
you say? Okay, she said thank you. You're welcome, Maria. Okay.
I can actually, I just pulled up the Q&A. The next one says, did you say a student needs to take a language 2 consecutive years? Yes. So students do need to complete 2 years of a language in order to qualify for Bright Futures. It's really one of those things that's overlooked because you don't actually have to complete a language to fulfill the requirements for your high school diploma. Most of the other ones you do have to have, so students kind of naturally fulfill those requirements, most of them, but they do have to complete those 2 years of a language consecutively. That's one of the things that it does specify. It doesn't specify the level that they have to complete of a language, though. So like you can take, just say, French 1 and 2. I know that German's offered a couple schools, or Spanish. Next question is, my child is in the 11th grade. Should I wait until next year to start filling out FAFSA, scholarships, etc.? Yes, definitely. So the FAFSA will open on October 1st for your student's school year. So as I said, if you can do it October 1st, do it October 1st. Like that's the best day to do it. Get it done, get it out of the way. Just be prepared with all of your tax information and stuff of that sort. But usually you do have to wait until the senior year. There are some scholarship programs, like, for example, one that we have is like our Take Stock program that starts when they're really young, but most are really going to be during the senior year. Next is, are scholarships and grants for trade schools as well? I'm sorry, I had to step away. You're all good. Scholarships and grants can apply for trade schools. For example, again, for our Take Stock kids, or for example, for our senior scholarships, that money can be used towards a trade school. Trade school is a great option for our students. If you have a Florida prepaid account for your student, that can go towards trade school, can also go towards cosmetology school and stuff of that sort. So yes, you can use FAFSA-based financial aid funds for those specialty schools. Next is from Arlene. It says, is there a Bright Futures that would do not as high of an SAT score if they have many hours, but the score isn't as high as you said as it needs to be? So the two main Bright Futures are going to be that Florida Academic Scholars and the Florida Medallion Scholars, and they do need those really high SAT and ACT scores. But if I were you, I would look into seeing if your student is does meet the requirements for the Gold Seal Vocational. So if they're involved in a career and technical program at their school, they may be, and that does have lower test scores. There's also I believe it's called the CAPE Scholars Program, which is also through Bright Futures. And I believe that one also does have lower SAT and ACT score requirements. So I would just kind of look into it. The Bright Futures website will walk through everything with you, and you can sit down with your guidance counselor and they'll tell you whether or not you're applicable. Next is Maria. My son is in 11th grade. If my son is applying for dual enrollment next year at Santa Fe College, will this help to move into university? Yes, I highly recommend dual enrollment. The only caution that I give for dual enrollment is really have your student think about whether or not they're ready. Dual enrollment can be extremely beneficial if your student is ready and they can meet the academic rigor, but if they're unable to, it will affect both their high school and their college transcript. If they perform poorly on a class in dual enrollment and have to withdraw, or they get an F, that can impact their acceptance into college and university. But for students who are really successful, those credits will always go with them. It's not like an AP, ACE, or IB course where you have to pass that big test at the end in order to get college credit. It's guaranteed college credit. And if your student is really strategic and smart about what classes they take in high school, they can graduate early. I know for me personally, in high school, I did a lot of dual enrollment and a lot of different specialty courses, and I graduated from UF in only 2 years. So if you're smart about it, it can be really, really helpful, but it can also be hurtful if your student's not ready. Next, we have Guillermo, who says, when the student has to apply at the beginning of 12th grade, would that be for college? College applications are usually due November 1st or December 1st. Some students will say, or some schools will say they have rolling deadlines. I would honestly ignore the fact that it says it has a rolling deadline, because one of the biggest schools that does that is UCF, and UCF will fill up. You can't apply to UCF in February. Money's gone, space is gone, it's all gone. You should really have all of those applications done before December 1st. And that even goes for Santa Fe College. I mean, that's probably the one where you can get away with doing a little bit later, but to get the money, to get the space, and to get what your student needs, apply early. I hope that answered your question, but if you had a question about a specific thing to apply for, please feel free to shoot that in the chat. You're welcome, Wendy. Next, we have an anonymous person, and it says, sorry to ask my question. So they don't qualify if they took Spanish 1 in 9th grade and 2 in 12th grade. They may qualify. I would sit down with the guidance counselor and kind of walk through it. Sometimes there's loopholes. So if you can cover that with your guidance counselor, they'll be able to tell you for sure. They're experts at Bright Futures because they have to work a lot with it. So I would just have that conversation. Usually that should be able to be answered in the email. Next is another anonymous. It says, are there scholarships and grants available for students in a secondary high school? Do you might know what a secondary high school would mean?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. If you maybe want to specify, I could help you out, but I'm not sure. Next is from Francis, and it says, we applied for FAFSA, he didn't qualify, so scholarship is the best way to get financial aid. Yes, definitely. Scholarships, they sometimes don't have a financial need element, which means that if your student has that high level of family contribution expected, then yeah, scholarships will be the best way to go. Especially if your student is very academically high performing, they should apply for a lot of different, they should qualify for a lot of different things. The Zoom is recorded. So if you did miss something, you'll see this recording. You're welcome. And then, okay, SciTech or charter school. So yeah, there are definitely scholarships available. SciTech might be a little bit more difficult if the student has some like missing graduation requirements, but if they do graduate on time, there should be a lot of different scholarships available. I would recommend probably the best way for your student to get scholarships would be through the institution they apply to. So if they want to go to Santa Fe, make sure that they're applying for those Santa Fe Foundation scholarships and Santa Fe Achieve. And then same thing with any other university. Always opt into any money they can give you. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions?
I don't see any popping up yet, but I will just say that if you all do have seniors that are getting ready to graduate coming this May, and you have not filled out your financial aid, please do it immediately. Like, if you can do it tonight, do it tonight. If you know other folks that you can reach out to just try to check and see if their kiddos have completed that, please make sure that you check that out and have them complete it, because money is running out and you don't want to wait until the last minute to do that. You don't have a lot of time left.
I agree.
And I believe that in every high school, there is someone there within the counseling or somebody that can get you all hooked up with the folks at Santa Fe. I know that they have different folks that float around that will sit down and talk to the students, not only about Santa Fe. They're going to talk to them about whatever college that they want to go to, and help them with that financial aid component. So make sure you guys are reaching out to the counselors and see if there's somebody specifically there that your students can talk to get that done as well.
Yeah, that's going to be like the folks over at Santa Fe Achieve. They're in all the schools. They're great. Two of the ones that I've worked with a lot are Jamie and Greg. Great people. They're really willing to help. Oh, I see a question. But yeah, they're in those high schools. They're usually there for a couple days a week. So if your student wants to get in with them, go to guidance. Question from Maria. It says there's a meeting on March 7th for juniors to get dual enrollment at Santa Fe College if someone else is interested. That's great information. Yeah, great for everyone to hear. As I said, dual enrollment is because they pay for your books, they pay for your courses, and for students that are on free or reduced lunch, they even have a lunch stipend for them to get food when they're at Santa Fe. So, I mean, you know, it pays for itself even more.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
So Maria said that there's a meeting on March 7th for juniors to dual enroll at Santa Fe. Maria, do you know where folks can log in for that at? Or if they just go to Santa Fe, or how does that? Okay, on the website, on Santa Fe's website. So if you guys have any juniors, mark your calendars for March 7th for that dual enrollment with Santa Fe. It'll be on their website. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, thank you. And if anybody has any questions about dual enrollment, it's not like completely my wheelhouse, but we have a lot of students in my program that are dual enrolled. And I do know Dr. Homard, who is the head of dual enrollment. And I also know one of the guidance counselors over there, Miss Mormon. So if you have any questions, I can totally pass them along and get you some answers.
And then I do have a question. So with Take Stock, can you tell us, is the application still open? What grades is open for? So if anybody that is here or want to pass that information on,
yeah,
can do so.
So Take Stock, we actually just closed our applications, but what we do is we recruit students out of 6th through 9th grade. So if you have a student that's going to be in those grades next year, I would absolutely love to see their application come through. And I can give you a kind of an idea of what our program looks like. But basically what we do is we supply students in middle and high school with support services to help them graduate from high school and transition to college. Once they graduate from high school, we supply them with a 2-year scholarship to college. We focus on at-risk low-income kids here in Alachua County. We have a team of college success coaches that meet in the schools with them, along with a volunteer mentor. Every student has their own mentor. Their mentor is really there for them. They're meant to be a trusted adult and an advocate for that student to help them when they need it. We have a lot of different mentors, a lot of really cool people. We have nurses, we have a lot of nurses, we have teachers, we have so many different people from the community who are willing to help invest in the success of our students. We're always looking for mentors too. If that's something you're interested in, I couldn't let myself not mention it. But if you are interested in this program and you think your student could be a good fit for it, you can go ahead and shoot me an email, and I can go ahead and add you to our application request list. It will be next school year that we run our next round of recruitment, but I can add you to that list so that when it does begin, we'll send you an email just in case you forget, because who's going to remember in November? Not me. So we'll go ahead and add you to that list, so that you'll get a reminder, you'll get the information, and you can look at the financial eligibility to see if it is an option for you and your family. But it's really great because it puts me, a college success coach, a mentor, all in their corner to help your students succeed. And with the help of you guys and parents, you know, there's no reason that your student can't go to college and can't do it for an affordable price. That's our biggest goal, is for all of our students to go to college for free.
Awesome. So everyone that is still here, please take down Ms. Reddick's information. If you guys need to reach out to her for any reason, you can definitely reach out to myself as well, and I'll get you over to her. And then, as we said, this is being recorded and it'll be posted on our website for you guys to go back and review it for the folks that had to step away. And so I don't see any more questions for us.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody.
You are so very welcome. I see some people saying thank you so much. Yes. You're welcome.
Yes, everybody have a great night.
Let's see. And so I would like to thank everyone again for joining us tonight for our Zoom webinar session. We appreciate your participation. And each week you're available to connect with us for more informative presentations and discussions. Once again, I am Tina Folston Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist of Educational Equity and Outreach for Alachua County Public Schools. So we look forward to seeing you all back next Thursday, which is January the 12th. We'll be joined by Gainesville Thrive, and they'll provide us with some information about their reading initiative. And so I will let everybody go because it is about 7 o'clock now. And I hope you guys join us again and have a great evening.